afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's event, Win sa Enerhiya, Ugnayan Kasama si Senator Win Gatchalian. My name is Jess, and I'll be facilitating this conversation between the various energy groups that we have today and Senator Win. To acknowledge, we have the following groups in our audience today. We have the developers of renewable energy for advancement, or DREAM, represented by its president, Attorney Jay Layog, and its members. We also have the CSDP, or the Confederation of Solar Developers of the Philippines, represented by their chairperson, Mr. Alberto Espiritu, and the CSDP secretary, Mr. Reynaldo Casas. We also have from the LPG industry, we have the LPG Industry Association, represented by its Executive Director, Ms. Mercedita Pastrana, and their members. From the LPG Marketers Association, we have Chairperson Arnel T. and members. From the LPG Refillers Association, LPGRA, we have President Bernardo Bolisay and their members. From the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, or EVAP, we have President Edmund Araga and their members. Finally, we have the Ethanol Producers Association of the Philippines, represented by their chairperson, Mr. Jerry T., and the executive director, Ms. Queenie Rojo, and their members. Good afternoon to everyone. We would like now to call on Attorney Christine Sonon to give a short introduction of the senator.
Good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce a public servant whose impeccable work ethic and tireless dedication to serve his country made him one of the most hardworking lawmakers of the Philippines. As chairman of the Senate Committee on Energy and Committee on Economic Affairs during the 17th Congress, he steered both committees with a goal in mind: to protect and empower the Filipino consumers and support small and medium businesses to generate jobs. He strove towards the passage of several key measures aimed at fostering competitive, investor-friendly, and red tape environment in the energy sector and in the Philippine economy. He has successfully steered the passage of pro-consumer legislations that have been signed into law. Among the laws he has authored are the Murang Kuryente Act, Electric Cooperatives Emergency and Resiliency Fund Act, Energy Virtual One-Stop Shop Act, Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, Anti-Obstruction of Power Lines Act, Philippine Innovation Act, Community-Based Monitoring Systems Act, Islamic Banking Act, and Mobile Number Portability Act, wherein consumers now have the freedom to change their mobile numbers without the need to change mobile service providers or subscription plans. His bills under the Energy Committee, the extension of lifeline rate subsidy and electricity bill for low-income household, has been signed into law on May 27, 2021, while the LPG Act, which aims to remove unsafe tanks from circulation, was enacted on October 14, 2021. Last January, the President signed into law the Microgrid Systems Act, Republic Act 11646, the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, which lapsed into law on April 15. All in all, a total of 11 energy-related bills have been enacted into law since he became senator in 2016. Indeed, his commitment to genuine public service continues to drive him in pursuing his promising vision of a better Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Win Gatchalian.
Thank you, Christine. Good afternoon to everyone, and once again, let me acknowledge our guests for today, and thank you very much for joining me in today's e-rally. Let me greet Attorney Jay, of course, of DREAM. Let me greet also Chairman Alberto Espiritu and Reggie Casas of the SDP. Let me also greet ED Mercedita Pastrana of LPGIA. Let me also greet Congressman Arnel T. of LGPMA. Let me also greet President Bernardo Bolisay of the LPG Refillers Association and President Edmund Araga of EVAP. And last but not the least, let me greet Mr. Jerry T. and Queenie Rojo of EPAP. Once again, thank you very much for accepting our invitation today. And let me thank also everyone for being an active resource person in the Energy Committee. I can't thank you enough for sharing your time and knowledge and wisdom in the Energy Committee. And because of your participation, we have enacted 11 laws. And let me just share my slide on those 11 laws. And let me just read all of them. Number 1 is the Electric Cooperatives Emergency and Resiliency Fund Act. Number 2 is the Energy Virtual One-Stop Shop Act. Number 3 is the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. Number 4 is the Anti-Obstruction and of Power Lines Act. Number 5, Morang Kuryente Act. Number 6 is the Lifeline Rate Extension Act. Number 7 is the Joint Congressional Energy Commission Enhancement Act. Number 8 is the Philippine Energy Research and Policy Institute. Number 9 is the LPG Industry Regulation Act. Number 10 is the Microgrid Systems Act. And number 11 is the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act, which recently lapsed into law and now is a full-fledged law. So those are the 11 laws that we enacted together. And thank you again for sharing your expertise in crafting those laws. Well, I have 2 plans actually. If ever I go back to the Senate, simple advocacies in the Energy Committee. Number 1 is to continue to lower down electricity costs in our country. During the last 2 months of going around the country, listening to our constituents, one of the most pressing issues that we need to solve is the high cost of electricity. And I hear that constantly whenever I go around. And aside from the Morang Kuryente Act, I plan to file several bills that will lower down electricity costs. I will plan to also conduct hearings in order to further lower down the cost of electricity in our country. Number 2 is to conduct oversight. I showed the 11 laws that we enacted. It's important that those laws are fully implemented. So it's important that we conduct oversight throughout the process and make sure that those laws are implemented. That law is meant to encourage more private investments in the generation sector, more investors to come in to provide new sources of power. So EVOS is a crucial law that we need to fully implement. And we gave DOE so much powers, no? And to curb red tape. For example, even powers to issue provisional permits so that permits can be issued while the applicant is applying for that permit. There's also provision on indigenous people's application, and that the whole provision has not been implemented yet. So sayang, no? This law is a good law, but if the executive will not implement it, it's as good as nothing. You know? So we need to make sure that those 11 laws that we implemented will be fully realized. Another law that we need to make sure that's implemented is the electric vehicles law. But again, we need to make sure that the provisions of the law gets implemented. The whole world is moving into a electric vehicle system, and we're just playing catching up right now. So oversight is very important, and since we crafted those 11 laws together, it's important also that we conduct oversight over those laws. Those are the 2 advocacies that I want to continue if ever I go back to the Senate. Of course, we have a lot of things to do, but those are the 2 things that is very high on my priority. So again, thank you very much for joining me today. And I think the best campaign managers are the people you've worked with all throughout the years, because they know you very well. And the same philosophy applies here in the committee. That's why I'm coming to all of you asking for help, because you've seen how we work, you've seen what laws that we have enacted, and you've seen firsthand how we have committed ourselves to the betterment of our country. So again, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll get another chance to serve the Filipino people.
Thank you, Senator Win. We do hope that you continue to be a staunch advocate of the energy industry in the coming Congress. At this point, we would like to open the floor to questions, as we have designed this event to be a conversation between the various energy groups that we had today and the senator. We did ask everyone to send in a few questions in advance. The questions we had early on was from CSDP regarding implementation of the Transmission Development Plan and also the EVOS Act, Senator, which you mentioned. May we ask either Chairperson Espiritu or Secretary Casas?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Senator Win. I'd like to share with you that we are indeed praying every night for you to be re-elected. We consider you as a very rare talent in the Senate. You're the only one who fully understands the energy sector. And as of now, you're also looking at the electric vehicle. It's really the future. So just in summary, we submitted 7 key points. One is we're hoping that when you get re-elected, that you push the Senate to approve the Foreign Ownership Act of 100% for renewable energy projects, because we think that this is going to be a replication of what happened in the telco industry, airline, and railways, wherein 100% foreign ownership was allowed. If it is approved, you can imagine the growth in the energy sector, no? Similar to what happened in India, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, and Pakistan. And massive infusion of foreign investment will benefit remote areas, providing more jobs. And it will be a big boom in our industry. The second one is the reinstatement of re-implementation of the feed-in tariff program for renewable energy project. I just want to emphasize that it is a law, Republic Act 9513. It's a law, specifically mandated implementation of FIT. So we're hoping that Senator Win, when you get re-elected, to help us push again the implementation of the feed-in tariff. And then what you mentioned is the EBOS. Yes, we're very much encouraged by what happened with DOE having been digitized. But when we go to the provinces, they're not yet digitized. No? They lack computers. And then there is a lack of a central computer system that integrates DOE, NCIP, LLD, ADI. So we need that master plan. And then also, we're very optimistic about the implementation of the CRES, the Competitive Renewable Energy Zone. I think that will be a very big step forward in the energy sector. And then we invested in Mindanao. We're hoping that Mindanao will also be reconnected with the wires, the cable wire, the submarine cables. No? And then the effective implementation of renewable energy market rules. And lastly, we'd like to review the automatic pass-through fuel cost provisions in PPA to ensure the least cost for consumers, because whatever the cost of fuel, such as coal, goes up in the world market, and we all absorb it now. So we're hoping that that will be addressed. So thank you again, Senator Win, and rest assured that we are all praying for your being re-elected again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Reggie, and thank you for those items that we need to look into. Some of them are quite complicated. No? For example, the foreign ownership. I consulted Attorney Jay and several lawyers about this. And when the lawyers don't agree with each other, then I think we have to really study that carefully, because that's actually a legal question more than anything else, whether it's against the Constitution or not. Personally, from a finance point of view, I agree, so that we can encourage external flow of capital to the RE. But we need to look at the legal complexities of that proposal. If there are no legal roadblocks, then I'm all for it, because that's one way of unleashing the full potential of renewable energy in our country. On the feed-in tariff, that's another complex proposal. I know it's in the law, and there's no provision there on halting it. However, it's also another, I would say, to be honest, controversial mechanism, because it directly impacts our consumer. However, I'm open to looking at it. I'm open to see how we can use it as a tool to encourage, again, more investors to come into the renewable energy space. What I can promise is all of this, whether controversial, whether it's legally complex, it's worth talking about and looking for solutions. I think you've known me quite some time already that I would rather look for solutions and ways in order to move forward rather than just point fingers or stop at the problem. No, we'll look for ways and look for solutions to move forward. So, thank you, Reggie. Thank you. And thank you for that reminder.
Yes, thank you also, Senator. God bless.
Thank you, Secretary Casas. We would like to call on Attorney Jay Layog, President of DREAM.
Jess, good afternoon, Senator Win, and of course to all our energy industry stakeholders. Of course, we are quite certain that you will be elected and take over the chairmanship again of the Senate Energy Committee. That's everyone's not only wish, but everyone's hope. If I may, Senator Win, let me just restate what we had released when we endorsed you as the senator. The DREAM trustees unanimously approved your re-election and candidacy because we all know you share with us that core value of ensuring growth of the renewable energy sector, which is actually in keeping with your objective to lower electricity prices. You know, Senator Win, we rarely see people like you at the Senate, one who displays a virtue of a good senator. You're very eloquent, you study, you listen. No? Those are virtues that you don't see in a lot of people. And we are very lucky in the industry that we finally found you as the chairman of the Senate Energy Committee. Actually, what all trustees have been asking me is, when do we start working again with Senator Win? I hope, and because you have seen it as well, that the executive will appoint the right people at the DOE, ERC, NPC, PNOC, NEA, and all those energy agencies. We need them. We need competent and independent people who are not easily influenced, but at the same time who have a good understanding of the industry. I hope with you around, you can influence the next president. Again, we are one with you, Senator Win, in your objective to reduce electricity prices. Senator Win, our message is really see you next month. More than anything else, we are fully behind you. Every single individual in DREAM has been campaigning for you. And all we want is for you to go back at the Senate and at the Senate Energy Committee, and we look forward to working with you again.
Thank you, Jay, for the kind words. But it's really all of you guys who should be thanked for, because I know the time that you have given the committee. And it's not only simple 1 hour, 2 hours. Our hearings can last for 6 hours. Our technical working groups can last for 8 hours a day. But you've given your invaluable time to contribute to the crafting of those laws. The energy sector is very complex, and you talk to high-level people, lawyers, finance people, engineers, and you need someone who can deal with this type of talent. And you cannot just appoint anyone off the street because they supported you. We need to get someone who is familiar and well-versed in the energy sector. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Attorney Layog of DREAM. This question is from Colin Steely of Stratcon Philippines, also a member of PE2, TSSEA, EVAP, and PropTech member. Sir, thank you for all the good work. Question is, countries like India and Western countries require for facilities to incorporate comprehensive power monitoring. The value to this are tenfold, especially as a key requirement for a managed energy transition. Would you consider implementation of such a tool mandatory for facilities moving forward?
It's a technical question that I need to study, and well, definitely, I'm reading the chat box right now. No, just off top, the whole world is moving into a transition. Whether it's net zero, whether it's carbon neutral, whether it's electric vehicles, everyone's moving to a transition. And because of that, financing will narrow down. And that's the trend. And if financing will narrow down, it will be very costly for us to finance technologies that are not involved in the transition. So we really need to plan ourselves moving into the energy transition. One of the things that I am actually filing is a bill on energy transition. So it will be a legislative action that will spearhead the energy transition, tapping into the existing organizations like the Climate Change Commission as the lead body. we need to prepare ourselves to that. No, energy is a long-term business. You cannot have someone just looking at 1 year, 2 year horizon. You have to look at the 10-year, 20-year horizon. Even if you talk about energy transition, you're talking about as far as 2060, 2050, 2060. That's how far the energy sector is looking at and talking about. Yes, I'll look into that proposal, the comprehensive power monitoring.
We also have another message from the chat from Mr. Mark Tieng. Thank you, Senator Win Gatchalian. Appreciate all the effort, support, and dedication towards the energy sector, especially passing of the Electric Vehicle Industry Development Act. Despite numerous challenges, and resistance, we are one with you towards your Senate re-election. Cheers from Solar Transport /BYD Flip.
The Electric Vehicles Industry Act, which Edmond and I worked on, actually evolved from purely a demand-based law into an industry development law. In the law, we're encouraging manufacturers to come in and build their factories here.
I also, sir, a message from Mr. from Colin Seeley. Thank you, Senator. Very happy to share the results of what we have come up with at your service. At this point, we would like to call on the Executive Director of LPGIA, Ms. Mercedita Pastrana, I believe you have a message for the Senator.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Senator. First of all, we would like to thank you for your effort and determination in the passing of the LPG Regulation Act. This bill has been pending for almost 2 decades, and finally, during your chairmanship of the Committee on Energy in the Senate, this was approved into law last year. We hope that after this was passed into law, we would have a full implementation. So we still need your support, and I hope once you're back in the Senate next Congress, your oversight committee will still look into it. Thank you again, Senator, and we are very grateful for your effort. We will support you all the way.
Thank you, Ms. Pastrana. Sir,
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you po, and I appreciate your participation in the crafting of this law. I know this law has been a long time coming. No, I think it's more than 20 years now, if I'm not mistaken.
2 decades.
2 decades,
19
correct.
years.
19 years now, almost 2 decades. It's a very comprehensive law, and it's a beautiful law to strengthen and to make the LPG industry safer. The next activity will be the crafting of the IRR. And in the law, we really made sure that the industry players are consulted in the crafting of the IRR. That's why part of my advocacy going back to the Senate is to conduct an oversight over all the laws, so that we'll make sure that the laws that we made will be fully realized through the IRR. Rest assured, after this campaign, we'll be moving towards oversight and moving towards pushing for the IRR, including e-vehicles. Kailangan ho yan.
Thank you, Mr. Senator.
Thank you, Ms. Pastrana. Sir, we have a few more questions which came into our group chat. We have Giancarlo Lang from AGX. Question is, do we see electric mobility coexisting with our biofuels initiative?
Yeah, that's a very good question and a tough one to answer. Will these two technologies move forward? I think right now we're offering options to our consumers. If you want to go with biofuels, then you go with biofuels. If you want to move for electric vehicles, you move for electric vehicles. It's quite difficult to tell right now, under the Philippine setting. In fact, in the US, both are still being pushed. Both biofuels-driven cars and electric vehicle cars. If you go to the Midwest, biofuels producing states, they're moving heavily with biofuels as a means to become more efficient. If you go to California, which is the west side, it's more electric vehicles. So it can still coexist probably in the next 10 years, my estimate. But the future still remains. That's one thing that we need to study in our country very carefully. I think it will boil down to number one, price to consumers, and then number two, complexity of the industry. That's one thing that we will be studying.
Sir, we have another question from Mr. Al Gray from suneatright.com. I believe, sir, this is about electric vehicles. Do I understand correctly? The next step of development of this law, which I believe is EVIDA, is the IRR. How does the public consultation work during that stage?
Yes, the law is quite specific that DOE will be the lead agency. We gave, again, DOE a lot of powers to drive this electric vehicles industry. So the next will be the IRR led by the DOE. But the DOE needs to consult heavily the other departments. For example, the OTR, which is a major department, the LTO, of course, the private sector. But the next step will be the IRR.
Thank you, sir. And sir, from Miss Techi Capelan of Dream, I am concerned about the incoming DOE secretary. Will you be involved in this election?
Si Techi. Techi, well, like I said to Jay earlier, I'm not directly involved, but I can definitely whisper, share my 2 cents worth. Since we're in the same unit team lineup, this is a high-level industry. It's not an ordinary industry, and our national development is hinged on energy development.
Can I have a follow-up question, sir?
Yeah, go ahead, Techi.
Yes. First of all, Mr. Senator, congratulations. You are already in the winning circle. So we are sure that you're going to make it. But it really broke our heart when you were supposed to be the vice president. So we were watching that very closely. So we hope that in the next round of a presidential election, if you need our support, we will be there, because we believe that your vision on energy is something that this country is going to take a very, very significant role moving forward if we want to really, leapfrog into that next net zero, future. But really, you have given a lot of powers to the Department of Energy. So, as you said, you can whisper. I hope you whisper loudly, because, we want to work with you. We've had a very glorious 6 years of your term. And we really hope that you can continue to lead and act as the de facto secretary, as you've done in the last 6 years. That was really our hope as an industry.
Thank you, Ms. Capelan. We call on Ms. Jenilyn Llorando from Delta Electronics, who has her hand raised.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Senator. Proud Valenzuelano here, who supported you from even to the Congress. So do you see the EV charge point operators? The EV charge point operators can be supported in Tyres if they will convert the charge points to work also as an assistance to government's disaster response. Because from Delta Electronics, we also had converted some petrol stations, specifically in Yokohama, Japan, and it was converted also to be a disaster response for the government. So I hope you also consider those kinds of things. And second follow-up question is, does the law has also provisions to include the V2V chargers or the bidirectional chargers for us to have one step ahead forward, not only on the EV?
Yeah, well, in the law, we gave DOE a lot of powers to craft and to charge the future of electric vehicles in our country through the EVs, the electric vehicles master plan. In a nutshell, we gave DOE a lot of powers to chart the direction of electric vehicles. We can actually embed what you recommended earlier on disaster preparedness. We can study what Japan did. The other technologies like the bidirectional, we didn't mention that in the law, but that will be part of the master plan that DOE will craft.
So I hope you put incentives also on those.
Yes. We didn't specify it in the law, because as you all know, we just enacted CREATE, which actually gives DOF the power on which industries to incentivize. But we definitely had a provision there that DOF can look into incentivizing this industry. Again, we gave flexibility to the DOF so that we will, because I also agree that we should minimize and eliminate leakages through incentives.
Thanks, Senator. I will say hi from Pastor Ides Palileo.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lorando. Sir, we have a message from Mr. Mark De Leon of Metro Pacific Tollways in the group chat. I read, we need Senator Win to be in the Senate and head this committee again. As a counterpart in the executive department, I have seen his work ethic, looking beyond the limitations of the agencies, moving forward with prospective legislation to enable the EV sector's leapfrog development. Always listening, always receptive, always observant. Hopefully, as we progress into the implementation of the EVIDA, we can push for more incentives to EV users, at least more non-fiscal incentives to promote adoption of EV. One such non-fiscal incentive would be for the prioritization to operators on franchise selection process who owns and operates EV fleets. Another would be expansion of franchise from 15 to 25 years to cover the investment of operators using EVs as well as those investing on infra to support their operations. You have our vote, Senator Win. Okay, we now call on Mr. Edmund Araga of the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines for his message for the senator.
Hi, good afternoon, Senator. I know you've been so busy these past few weeks, past few months, and we at iba't really appreciate the efforts in passing of the EVIDA in Tolo, who diligently works and making it possible. Our dream to make it a law is a fulfillment, and you made it happen, sir. And from the bottom of our hearts, we really appreciate your work. And your dedication and work ethics will surely pave the way to be a true leader in public service. Me and the rest of Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines is one with you to be included to the new batch of senators and be the number one on the list and become a Senate President someday. You proved to us that you are a good listener. That is a great trait of being a leader, sir. Thank you very much, sir, Mr. Senator.
Thank you, Edmond. And again, thank you for enlightening us and sharing your experiences and your knowledge on electric vehicles. This law was created ground up, meaning there was no pattern whatsoever in the past. No, so we had to have massive consultation with you and with the sector in crafting this law. And thank you for lending us your time.
Thank you, Mr. Araga. We have Mr. Jerry T. from the Ethanol Producers Association of the Philippines.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Senator and your staff. And thank you very much for this opportunity. And of course, thank you for your support of the alcohol or the bioethanol industry. And it has always been a privilege for us to work with you and on matters that will help and improve our industry, its workers, and our viability as a whole. And we take cognizance of your visit to our plant to see on how we can improve the conditions of the bioethanol industry. On the raw material side, on the energy side, we understand that you are not only looking into education, but on so many matters. And thank you for this. And we look forward in continuing this cooperation in your next term as our senator. And the best of luck, of course, and more power and Godspeed, Senator.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you to Queenie. Queenie and I have worked and traveled to many countries to look at their bioethanol, biofuel sector, and I'm still very bullish with the biofuel sector.
Yes.
We have mainly because we have the resources, we have the manpower, and it has a social component of helping our farmers. No? And of course, it's along the way we have a lot of challenges, but those are the things that we need to face.
Yes, sir. We thank you for your support. Very consistent and very committed for the past 6 years. But yes, your yes is yes and your no is no, and we really appreciate that. We look forward to working with you in the energy sector. So hats off to you. You are top 5 already, and we are happy for that. And we will make you top 3, God willing. God bless.
Thank you, Queenie. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the representatives of EPAP. Sir, maybe you have some final words for everyone in
Thank you,
our audience
Jess.
tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. Again, thank you everyone for your time today. But more importantly, thank you for helping me craft those 11 laws. I couldn't do that without all your support, the time you have given us. Pro bono, these, when you give time, walang kapalit. It's really contributing your time and talent to nation building. Hopefully, we will be given another chance to serve the Senate and to serve the Filipino people. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you also for your time, Senator. Thank you so much. We're praying for you.
Sen.
Thank you, Reggie.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So before we leave, we request for a short photo opportunity with the senator. We request everyone to turn on their cameras and have a big smile for the virtual camera. Again, thank you very much to everyone, to
Thank
all
you.
the energy industry groups that we have today. We hope to rely on your support. Thank you very much, and we bid
Thank you.
everyone a good rest of the day.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.